I mean, back in the day, it was, you know, looking at it back in the 80s when Stan and I sat down with Cameron, and it was going to be a Cameron-produced film directed by Catherine Bigelow.
What year was this?
1988.
There is a new enemy out there, mutants. You'll need a new weapon for this war.
What happened was that Stan and I went to a meeting with Cameron. The whole point was to pitch the X-Men movie, and he was going to do it. He was going to produce it. He was looking to have Catherine Bigelow direct it. I was all set to talk ideas with the guys, and we're sitting there. In the middle of the discussion, Cameron, before we even get started with the discussion, we're just doing the hi, how are you, as we're sitting around this giant table, and he looks to Stan and he says, Stan looks at him, and says, I hear you really like Spider-Man. And Cameron's eyes light up, and it's like, oh man, I love Spider-Man, blah, 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 blah. And they're talking like a mile a minute. And Stan's pitching ideas to Cameron, and Cameron's pitching ideas to Stan, and they're going back and forth. And the rest of us are sitting there kind of watching the X-Men evaporate into oblivion.
It's going to take the two of us, side by side, at a time when we couldn't be further apart.
He knew which character was his favorite, and if I were him, I'd have probably done the same thing, because, you know, he was sitting with Cameron and he just figured, what the hell? I'll toss it out there and see what happens.
I know what I have to do. It's us or them.
The irony is that Cameron went off and put together a treatment, a concept, and the minute all of the licensors who had even a fractional piece of Marvel movies heard of this, they came out of the woodwork like nobody's business. And no one could do the deal. And eventually even Cameron got fed up with it and just walked away and sank the Titanic.
Doesn't justify what you've done.
You've no idea what I've done.
I know that you took the things that mean the most to me.
Well, maybe you should have fought harder for them.
We went into our own private turnaround at that point. And it sort of sat that way for another 10 years until Fox got serious with it and sat down with us, and we tried to pull it together.
Charles.
Good to see you too, old friend.
This is gonna be fun.
And again, the whole point was, how can we make this incredibly dense, complicated history, which it was at that point after 20-odd years, how do we distill it down into 120-minute powerful film? And the argument I've always used is, you know, don't think of it as superheroes, think about it as outsiders trying to fit in. You've come to a place where you can't help who and what you are, but you want to build a life for yourself the same as everyone else. How can we do that? How can we be treated as people, not as objects?